Hey guys, welcome back to the Cahaba Tunes channel. My name is Russ. Do me a quick favor, if you will, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and please like this video so that it gets out to others on YouTube and the vinyl community. I've been able to have a few nights sleep on the matter, and decided to make another video concerning Mofi. This will be my last kind of thoughts on the matter, but a few things that I wanted to talk about that I think are important, because we all are consumers, and our decisions and our money really do matter, and we can make a difference in how the companies run their business out there. So first thing off, I really do think that Mofi going forward needs to remove the original master recording moniker from their packaging. I believe that because they're not using the master tape directly, that this is just the marketing is it's just a marketing ploy, and it's deceiving the customers out there into thinking that they're truly using the original master tape to cut directly to the vinyl, which we found out is not the case. In Mike's video, Mike at the End Groove, they stated that they use DXD or DSD to rip their recording because they think it's superior to analog tape. Well, that may be the case. I think as Chad Castle mentioned earlier on 45 RPM's interview earlier today, as he mentioned as well, it's also much cheaper. I realized that, flying out their equipment to the locations of where these master tapes are held is probably not that cheap, but it's much cheaper for them to do that than to pay absorbent money to actually have the master tape in hand. And most studios aren't going to allow the master tape to go out. So, in 2022, I'm a little bit surprised that this is a revelation, I guess, to some people that, were shocked that, Mofi is using a digital rip to, produce their vinyl. But yeah, most studios are not going to allow their master tapes to get out of their hands. They realize how valuable they are, and they're just so paranoid that something's going to happen to them that they're just not going to take that chance. I think going forward, Mobile Fidelity should use just the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab on their labels, on their vinyl and their CDs. I think continuing to use that original master recording moniker is just very deceiving, and it's not necessarily the truth. So I think we all should request for that to be removed going forward. I just wanted to show you kind of a comparison in a kind of a different industry. Over the last 9 months or so, I've kind of gotten into bourbon collecting, and some of you may have heard of Blanton's bourbon. It's a 93 proof bourbon. Comes from a single barrel, and it cost $60 here in Alabama. And I just wanted to show you what this bourbon, the packaging that it comes in. So here's the bourbon here. It comes in this very ornate box, as you can see. Kind of tells their story back there. Again, it says on here the original single barrel bourbon whiskey. So beautiful packaging. This is actually a little bit embossed here. So we open up the box. And then, so not only do we have a box, but now we have a little cute bag for it. says Blanton's there on the front. So a lot like, kind of a Crown Royal bag, except different color. There's nothing else, on it. Then we get to the bottle. So here's the bottle. Kind of in the industry, it's called a grenade bottle, and it's cool. There's no other bottle that's like it. And as you see on here, if you can read that, it's hand written on there. Talks about when the whiskey was dumped, on the date, which warehouse it's stored in, the rick house, and all of this information right here. Got a wax top with this horsey top on here, and this is a letter B. If you're unaware, these are collectible by people. They the letter here, you're able to spell out Blanton's if you get all of the different letters, and so people collect these, as part of their kind of bourbon hobby and bourbon collection. Okay, so if you go out there on YouTube, on some YouTube channels, a lot of people pretty much downplay Blanton's. I think one of the main reasons is because, the bourbon tastes just, kind of okay. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Does it blow your socks off? No. There's a bourbon you may have heard of, Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is $30 here in my state. Could be less in other states, but most people think that Buffalo Trace tastes as good, if not better, than Blanton's. But yet Blanton's is really a $30 to $40 bourbon in $20 or $25 packaging. So, if we didn't have, the bag, it didn't have this ornate box, didn't have the handwritten label and the horsey and the wax and all that good stuff, we're talking about just a bourbon that's, should be $30, $40 on the shelf. And so, again, this kind of is a form of marketing to the public, to the bourbon buying public, that is enticing, to some. I think to some, once they actually have the bourbon and taste it, they go, oh, this is not what it's all kind of cracked up, to be. And, I don't know if most people need all that packaging. They'd much rather buy that bourbon for, $30, $40. Oh, and by the way, this is an allocated bourbon. You can't find this everywhere. There's only certain months out of the year that it's available, at least in this state. And so, again, that's what Mofi is doing with, their one steps, putting in all this ornate packaging. The packaging of the one steps, it probably costs, the consumer, again, $25, $30, $40. Talking about a record that should cost probably $50, at the most, and then packaging on top of that, say $25. So, record should be at the most $75, and yet, we're talking about $100, $125, and then sometimes more than that money, especially on the secondary, that these are going for. I pride myself in finding value that actually, lives up and can stand up to, more expensive things. If some of you are wine drinkers, I'll show you another kind of analogy here. And this is a 2018 Robert Hall Cabernet from Paso Robles, California. It's in Central California, between San Francisco and LA. And this is a beautiful cab that tastes amazing, and it is $15 that you can find on the shelf. I don't know if you've heard of, Silver Oak or Camus. Those are two cabs that are known from Napa, out in California, and those bottles are each $100. Nothing that fancy as far as their bottling or their labeling, but they're $100 each because they come from Napa, and they're good wines. But I would put this Robert Hall, this. I would put this up against, Camus and Silver Oak any day. And I think, especially if you blinded someone and gave them all three of those, I think they would be hard pressed to, really pick out which one they liked the best. And I think they would be hard pressed to say that, this is certainly not any less in terms of quality. This quality stands up to those wines. I think, I saw a video by Steve Westman at the Audio Files that came up on my feed, and it was actually from about a year ago, and he was talking about what techniques did Mofi use to master and record the Nightfly, which we know is digital. And he was asking, because it's a digital recording, did they use the original, tapes for that particular recording? So I think he was on the right track as far as trying to find out transparency, back at that point, but failed to, I think, dig a little bit deeper. And I'm glad that we have people in the VC like him and like Mike Exposito over at the In Groove, Michael over at 45 RPM, that are connected within the industry, that can get these answers for us, because otherwise we haven't been able to get those answers. Michael Fremer hasn't been able to get those answers. No one else in the press has been able to get those answers. So finally, it's good to hear directly from the sources, especially the mastering engineers there at Mofi, that they truly have been since at least 2015, and they mentioned in 2008 that they had done some DSD rips. I think it's been going on before that, quite frankly. Also in that Steve Westman video, there was a comment by Danny Kaye of Sonic Flare. I want to go back to this album again, and then we're talking about the Nightfly. And he said, the direct quote comment that he had said that he felt like the OG was superior to the One Step. He said it felt like it was punchier and more airy, and overall sounded better to him than the Mofi One Step. And as I mentioned in my previous video, the median price on the Nightfly One Step is $500. And yet, and Danny, I don't know if you're familiar with Danny, he's good friends with Michael over at 45 RPM Audiophile. And, Danny, I feel like Danny's an audiophile. He's got an amazing system. He's got these amazing speakers that are usually in the background of his videos. He hasn't made a video, I think, in about 5 months. But, for him to say that, definitely, I think, says, something. But overall, I feel like that, Mofi needs to be responsible in their marketing, because they lead the way in terms of the vinyl industry. The only way that acoustic sounds and craft, recordings, the reason that Analog Productions can charge $125 for the UHQRs, the reason that Craft can charge $100 or $125 for their one steps, is because Mofi started the trend, and there's a certain audience that these are targeted toward, and it's only, really, when it comes down to it, a few thousand people. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that, depending on kind of the title, but in essence, out of the, billions of people that are on this planet, their marketing is centered toward, 5, 10, 20 something thousand people, and they create this mystique and hubbub and are able to charge this exorbitant price for their vinyl. Records shouldn't cost this much, and what I'm saying is, you know, we need to use our power as a consumer to demand, you know, a lesser cost. Um, in this country, capitalism is king, and the more money that a company makes, the more profit, and that's what, you know, it's all about. You know, again, MoFi is having a much cheaper cost by recording these master tapes digitally than if they were to, have the original master tape directly in their hands. And so the profit that they're making off of these one steps and their, just other albums that are now, $65, things like that, is quite absorbent. It's quite high. I just feel like the cushion there is just too much. I think that the MoFi should reduce their prices. Again, like I said, by at least $20-$25 on the one steps, and I think that they're at the very most they're going to gain, I think, customers by doing that. I think they'll gain trust. They've got to show in their marketing materials that they include in their records, what is truly the source, and go into detail about how they master and how they produce their records. I think if they do that, then they're going to be much better off, and I think their customer base is going to be much more satisfied, in doing it that way. I think also the things that have come to light recently have created probably more goodwill for companies like Music on Vinyl. Brocka P. Dub recently has done a series about Does It Audiophile, and I think it's just pretty great timing that he showed, Music on Vinyl. He's shown Abbey Road. He's showing labels that their records are cut from digital files, and asking the question, hey, does this sound good, and does it stand up to MoFi and some other recordings? And I would say yes. This particular album, this Sade Diamond Life, this to me actually sounds warmer and better than my OG copy. My OG copy sounds a little bit bright, even to me a little bit sibilant, and even though Music on Vinyl is cut from digital, their mastering is unreal, and their actual pressing quality is great. And so, this company does great stuff. Does all of their records sound amazing? No, they don't. I have STP4 on this label, and it sounds okay. It's not amazing, but it sounds good. But this is awesome, and so I think you're going to see more people going back and going, okay, Music on Vinyl and the Abbey Road Half Speed Masters and some of these other companies that maybe didn't get quite the respect in the past, maybe they actually do now get some respect put back on them, that hey, maybe they aren't so bad, because MoFi is doing a similar thing, albeit again, like I mentioned in my past video, MoFi's technology is amazing, and they have spent probably quite a bit of money on that, and they've perfected it in their own way. But just wanted to kind of lend my thoughts on this, and just remind everyone that we as consumers still do hold the power, and it is all about supply and demand, and as long as we keep letting MoFi lead the way in terms of setting prices the way that they are, through buying at these high prices, they're only going to keep going up. And so I just want us as vinyl enthusiasts, to not be priced out of some of these things that are offered, because I think it should be offered to you know to everyone, to a you know to a certain standard, certain degree. And I think when you start charging, $125 and $200 and $500 for a record, then you're only talking to a few thousand people that can afford something like that. And there's some people that still buy them that it's not in their budget, and they do it, out of just the pure vinyl addiction that some of us have. And I think we all just need to be responsible, in how we spend our money. And I just really get pleasure out of buying product that's a great value for a good quality product, and something that I feel like can stand up to products that are much more in price. And so you can do that too. You can choose that. And I saw the Jazz Shepherd had a video about, is there peer pressure in the vinyl community? And I do think there is, to a degree. Where we watch videos that all people tout as these expensive records, and there's just not many people that are able to afford those kinds of things. And so just want to be realistic about this, and this sometimes takes the the fun and the joy out of the hobby, and out of the ability to buy certain records, because they're just not affordable. And so I just feel like that there's definitely a way for these companies to be able to cut back on some of their cost, that they then can reduce their cost to us. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this matter, and I appreciate the comments that I received on the last video, and appreciate the likes on it. I plan on doing some more videos here in the near future, and we'll get back to records and some good sounding stuff. Want to show some of the promos in my collection that I've got, and then also want to show some of the hype stickers that I have in my collection. So a few different ideas on some videos coming up in the next few weeks. So I hope you stick around to watch those. I hope everyone is doing great out there, and I hope everyone had a great weekend, and hope you have a good upcoming week. So take care.